Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refurbish two blades tonight. This one and this one. Right, I'm going to make a Pickwick out of this and a Lost Lake out of this one. Now it turns out this Lost Lake, I got some advice on it, so I know what to do now. I'm going to make that stem wider, but it falls within the average on the lower end on the dimensions on the stem. So everything is okay as far as the right size and everything. It's just a little bit long for the size of the lower area. It's like I think they said the average was between 55 millimeters and 85 millimeters. So 55 millimeters is only about there. 85 is the upper range. So I'm really near the upper range. But 55 is not out of the question. So when I do this one here, when I redo the notches, it's going to be well within the range. Okay, so another thing I noticed, I hope I do this right, or I hope I noticed this correctly. I'm going to be doing bevels on both of these points. I'm going to do some beveling. The Lost Lake is beveled on this side, so you can see the beveling flakes on this side. With a Pickwick, you see them on the other side. So I thought that was interesting. Okay. And I hope that's right. So I'll do this one first since it's going to be the most difficult. Because it's if I'm tired, it's hard to do the difficult one. But if I'm tired, it's not so difficult to do the easy one, if that makes sense. All right. I had to take off my coat. It gets cold fast out here at night. All right. That's one thing about this material. You never know when it's going to step like that. Which can be extremely aggravating. So if I want to get rid of that, I got to come in from the side or just take all the way back, take the edge all the way back to that step and then redo it. Yeah, it's the easiest thing. Let's see. My wrist got really sore earlier from all the pressure flaking on the notches. I don't know why it gets sore so fast. All right, so the step fracturing on this material is funny. And not funny, haha. It's just weird. Okay. Now that I'm closer to this one from the base, I could try to send the flake. So that's what I'll do. That's what I will attempt to do. I'm worried about maybe some cracks expanding from this area, so I'm gonna trim this back a little bit. It would probably be better if I construct these edges and platforms very precisely, but that just takes a lot of time, and I usually lose interest in knapping if it's taking me too much time. Not only because I get impatient, but because I don't really have the ability to spend as much time as I want. That sort of thing. So I'm going to try to send the flake up that way. It looks pretty convex all the way, but there's a little slight dip there. So take a little bit off of this. So there isn't that dip in the pathway. Try to get a good strong edge. I'm going to do thinning flakes in various areas here. All right. Not too shabby. But the problem, yeah, I just gotta, I'm wondering if I messed it up there. Yeah. Here we go again. It's getting shorter and shorter. Still going to be a problem. So damage control is not always a good thing. Alrighty. Sorry about that. Wondering how long that was not in focus. That's terrible. You didn't want to see that anyway. Trust me. As long as I got 55 millimeters, I'm good. Yep, it's 70 right now. Cool. And if I don't get this thin, I'm gonna be bummed because I've taken away so much of the edge now at the bottom, at the base, that if I don't get this thin, it's going to be embarrassing. Now, question is it the steel or the stone? That's the question. Is it doing all these steppy and cracky things because of the steel or because of the stone? Or the iron in this case? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one. It still looks as thick as the last time. Down here, where I'm going to do the notching, it still looks as thick as it did the last time. I don't know how to go thinner without risking another round of trimming, lose another 1/8 of an inch or so. I said I was going to bevel this, right? I need to bevel it this way. I would like to have a nice clean edge. That little bit there is a bummer. Let's see if I can take away some of that. See, the side that you're beveling away from needs to be really flat or it looks funny when you finish. I'm not doing a good job at flattening. I just messed that up. Yeah, if it wasn't for indirect percussion, I probably couldn't do much at all with this material, except make small points. But it looks really, really nice. Okay. Now, let's see. Yeah, it's rounded. Okay, so All right, so I'm gonna start wide on this. Okay, so here we go. That was a nice pop out. I got lucky. But you have to be aggressive with this material. Or it doesn't flake well. So I'm right on the verge of breaking it or making a mistake. Cool. All right. I'm not going to push my luck on that one. Just know it's already 26 minutes. Okay. How time flies when you're not having fun. If this works, I have a lot of fun looking at it. I have a lot of fun looking at my finished pieces. Nice. Okay. That takes a lot of worry off me. Every time I get a good pop out, the next pop out is so much easier. Oh, that one sounded a bit crunchy. Yeah, nice. This curve flaker does work, but it's nerve-wracking because I got to pay attention to the sides here when I'm doing it. I don't even know if, yeah, it does help slightly to get a curved upward sweep. It does help, but it's very subtle. And I would use a curved antler if I was doing this with antler, but it would have to be much thinner, or the antler would have to be super antler, super duper strong. So I'm putting some pressure behind this, some serious pressure. Okay, so that's as far as I dare to go on that. I'll continue on the next segment. Okay, just a little bit of an upward sweep here. At the foot of the notch. I just noticed I didn't have much of that aesthetic. It's going to look like it's sweeping upward, right? There's got to be a practical reason for that, but I haven't figured it out. Why they would sweep it upward other than just to shape the stem. Alright, so now I'm just going to bevel it and then I'll be done with it. And then we can move on to the next refurbish. This is going to look odd on this side, but oh well. I'm going to try to do a little flattening before I do the beveling. I can find the right flaker. There we go. See, I want to be able to flatten the contours of this before I start beveling downward, because I don't want that bevel edge to be all weird, all windy, or how do you say? I don't want it to be all crooked. Yeah, this one looks okay. All right. This is my own technique of beveling. I don't know if it was done this way. I'm just pushing off the surface, which I know it was done by pushing off the surface, but I don't know if it was mainly inward. I push off to the side somewhat, so the flakes are coming off at an angle. It's just more comfortable for me that way. All right, so then we're assuming the edge gets really dull, and then we gotta bevel it again to sharpen it. We don't want really long flakes, because then it doesn't look like a bevel. And that does produce a pretty good sharp edge. Okay, same thing on the other side. And I can see why they sharpened it this way, because you only need to take off a little bit of the edge at each time. I'm taking off more than I need because I just want to speed this up. But if you've got a good pressure flaker, you can take off just a little bit of the edge each time. It'll last a while. the same color as the pad, isn't it? Hate to do this whole thing with not being no one being able to see it this whole time. Taking off about a, what is that, 1/16 of an inch. You could probably take off less with a smaller tip. I probably wouldn't take off less than a 32nd because then it's hard to do a full flake. One more pass and I should be, well, I don't know. These were not always symmetrical, right? I don't even know. One more pass. Yeah, that's better. The bevel looks more convincing on this side. It is sharp. It's a little. It feels a little different in its sharpness compared to a traditional edge where you take off thinning flakes at the same time. But it is still very sharp. Okay, so I'll stop talking about this one. So there's the Lost Lake with deeper notches, a wider stem, and let's see if it still fits in the foreshaft real quick here. Yeah. In fact, it's slightly thinner than the other one, but yeah, it fits. Looks pretty good like that. I can very easily imagine these starting out as knives, and then when they get smaller, they stick them on the end of a foreshaft and throw it. But they could have their entire life as knives, that's for sure. Okay, so let's get this one done. The Pickwicks are narrow. I read somewhere that they're similar to Etley's. What I'm going to do is probably, well, we'll see what happens. A lot of these also have Cortex on the very base, but that'll take some practice to figure out how I can do that. How to spall so that I have a little bit of Cortex for the base of these. If I do another Pickwick, I'd like to do it with a little bit of Cortex on the base. Nice knowing you, Barb. Sometimes it's almost satisfying to eliminate something that gave you so much trouble. Not sometimes. All the time. Yeah, the barbs were giving me so much trouble on this one. this material is more brittle than the other. Even though it's the same stuff, it's still Buffalo River. Let's see, I need the sharper tool. It just gave me a lot of trouble. And it wouldn't be so bad if it was more consistent, you know, so I can get used to it. Yeah, this is what was happening. I was stalling those notches and stuff, and I put some extreme pressure on it and blew off a barb. I'm not sure if these were finished off with fine pressure or heavy pressure or what. I saw a bunch of pictures of the Pickwicks. It looks like a lot of bold flaking, but I may be wrong. I think these sweep upward, not downward or straight. They sweep upward. Makes them even easier. So you could make a Pickwick out of very difficult material. That's one of the easiest stems to do, is the contracting stem, slightly contracting. And of course the easiest notch to do is the one that's open, completely open like this. Now I think these are thick, right? I don't know. Let me think. The bases are not ground, but they tend to be thick in the middle. I'm not going to make this one thick. I'm going to thin it out a little bit. I do want a nice pop out in each corner. At least a little bit. On both sides. See the stems long on these. I don't think they are. And they're not symmetrical. And that's one of the first things I read about the Pickwicks, is that they're not symmetrical. It's my kind of point. Now these have the bevels going the other way, right? So I had to be careful. Okay, so these barbs are not symmetrical. Hopefully that's good. Hopefully that's not symmetrical enough. And just need to put a bevel, and the bevels show up on the opposite side, so I'll be beveling on the opposite side, as far as I can tell from the pictures that I saw. So if I was looking at wrong pictures, then I blame it on that. It's not my fault. I gotta straighten the opposite side first a little bit. I like the color of this material. I just don't like the brittleness of it. Where's my abrader? Okay, what am I doing here? I have a lump right there. Okay. Just trying to straighten the opposite surface so that when I do the bevel, it doesn't look too crooked. This side looks okay. Yeah, all right, so here we go. Probably should dull it, right? Good thing this blade is already a little bit narrow, so I don't have far to go. It's already 19 minutes. And you guys didn't want to see me do the whole thing from start to finish, right? No, it would have been boring. So I can't see the bevel on this side yet. So I've got to take shorter flakes. More steep, put more a steep angle on this bevel. Which means I got to push more downward. And not this way, but this way. Because when you do it this way, it kind of flicks. I don't know how to explain it. It'll flick the flake and it'll go under. If you push like this, it doesn't travel as far. Just takes a little longer. I don't remember seeing too many guys doing the beveling YouTube videos with beveling. I don't know how sharp these are supposed to be. I'm just going to bevel until time runs out, then I'll stop. It doesn't matter how it looks. And this can be used as a method to prepare the edge to flake, to create a continuous platform. The bevel can be used as a continuous platform, but I don't do it that way because it removes a lot of the edge. See how it looks really crooked? That's what flattening this side does. It makes it straighter when you finish. So I'm going to have to take back a little bit of those. I don't know if they left it all crooked like that or not. These points are not for my area, so I haven't studied them as much. I'm rubbing up against that edge and it's really sharp. Yeah, when you don't dull it for the second or for the pass, you get little step fractures in there. Because you're pushing off a very weak edge. See this? I didn't have to correct that at all. Because that side was already flat. Now this is an effective technique for glass. I think I'll do it on at least one of the points that made of obsidian. You just bevel it like this. I'm trying to think of a beveled obsidian point other than maybe Clovis. Oh, these are not supposed to be symmetrical, so can go a little more narrow, right? One more. I have time for one more pass. Can't resist the temptation of taking off some lumps. I hope that was in the frame. Okay, so there you go. Pickwick. I hope that base is right. The stem. We'll try it on the foreshaft. Oops. A little thick compared to the other ones, but let's see, how about a knife handle? Yeah, can be easily made into a knife. Okay, so there you go. Refurbished, 2 refurbished points. Alrighty. Just in time. Okay.